doesn't have his posse to do stuff like that for him.
He's got no backup.
But Manwë does.
That's awesome. It's gonna really bring a lot of tension to the moment when Melkor says, "So Manwë sent his messenger boy," well, to the torture chambers with you. That it's really gonna give that some real
Melkor
there's gonna be a real thing behind that now.
Never ever gonna forget that Eowyn spoke up at that moment. Yeah, ever. So yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, no, I like it. So now everybody looks to Manwë.
Mm-hmm.
Manwë proclaims his decision,
Mm-hmm.
and almost everybody is on board. There's going to be a few people who Now, do we have Manwë lead everybody off, and some people stay, or does Melkor interrupt and stomp off again, and this time some people follow him?
Well, Ulmo has to speak up and be like, "Wait a minute! The whole point was to remember all of Middle Earth. This place that you're talking about is across the sea, which I like, but don't forget about the rest of Middle Earth," which gives Melkor the opportunity to be like, "My place is here, and I haven't forgotten Middle Earth." And, Melkor jumps in, and he's trying to prove himself. So his arguments all sound
almost just raising a point of order, as it were. Melkor jumps on it.
Mm-hmm.
It says, and maybe even tries to kind of manipulate it so that it seems like Ulmo's on his side. See, even Ulmo thinks that we shouldn't have.
Oh, which would just make Ulmo be like, "I hate this guy so much." Yeah, I like that this debate is turning into reasons to kill people.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Okay, so
that's where we have to give people reasons. We have to give people motivation for these very visceral feelings.
Okay. So at that point, Melkor has made his declaration very clear of, "I have a place and it's ready. Anyone who's with me and actually cares about Middle Earth should come with me." And he should be ready to gather people up and go. And it's one of those things where when you're like, "Hey everyone, let's go," and no one follows you. No one.
We gotta give him some people though.
Yeah, some people are gonna go with him, but not a lot.
No.
And he's very disappointed by this.
We're talking hundreds of them, and maybe a dozen or so.
If that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be, because we have dragons, werewolves. We got to fill up something. So there's got to be maybe 10 to 20 people that go with them.
Right. We got the impression during the music that up to 1/3 of the Ainur are going along with him, I think.
Is that from the music, or is that just from the Book of Revelation?
That's probably from the Book of Revelation.
That is in the Book of Revelation.
It is, I know. 1/3 of the stars are swept from the sky.
Satan. I don't think it's in the Ainur Listellite. I don't have a problem with it.
There were a lot, though. There were a lot. Let me see how many there were.
Because everybody's here. We're going to see every one of the Ainur that has come. Virtually every one of the Ainur that have come to Middle Earth is going to be here, in all their varying sizes and shapes. While you're looking, I'm going to drink with it.
Yeah, it just keeps saying many, so maybe 1/3 is too many, but there should be a good number of followers, is all I guess I was going with.
Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, just it says many a few times. So, especially the ones who are near him and all that. So I don't know how many, and I don't know how many I know there were. So,
I mean, I have a problem with the third thing. I really don't.
But yeah, I should acknowledge where I got that. The third of the stars fit from the sky is the Book of Revelation.
You know what? It's not. It's like I don't necessarily feel like it's a bad direction to go in. Like we know the story that Tolkien is telling us here. Like we know where he's getting this from. So it's not a terrible. It's not a terrible thing to be drawing it from.
But visually, how many people do we want to follow Melkor out of this meeting is what it comes down to. Do we want about a third of the people gathered to follow him? Or do we want a couple? Or do we want, like what's 20 out of 100 is 1/5?
He's got to make a really strong case for that.
Well, he's won almost all of the arguments he's been in up to this point.
That's true.
So he's good at this. Like he called out Olmo with the words of Iluvatar in the 4th episode, right? And he threw Arian under the bus in the last episode and pointed fingers at Ungoliant. To be like, see, it could have been her. So he's good at winning arguments up to this point. So he should be able to give an impassioned plea of,
this is going to have to be
you
good.
Leave now.
This is going to be.
Yeah, but like if you leave now, you're abandoning Middle Earth. You're giving up on your whole role in the music. Like he has to lay it on pretty.
So it's going to take some wordsmithery to get this speech right, but I feel like it can be done. But it's going to have to be good, and it's got to be so good that the audience is going, I wonder, is he right? Maybe he's right. Like the audience themselves has to kind of buy into it. We know that he's bad. We already know he's a bad guy because he's caused this.
But this speech.
But there's gonna be some lingering doubts in people's heads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think he could have a good number follow him. Myron does not. Though. Myron is not one of the ones who walks out, and we have to see that he. Respected Manway's view. That he's like, oh, Manway's got the leadership figured out here.
So we need to see, we're going to have to show reaction shots to the speech on Myron's face. And what I want to see is that he's not necessarily in disagreement with Melkor. Maybe he even agrees with him. But then he turns, he looks at Aule and he can't pull it. Like he thinks about it. He considers going with him then, but he looks at Aule and he looks at him when he can't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. That it's his devotion to Aule that's stopping him at this point, not his respect for Manway.
I mean, yes, I would say that he still has,
or not just his respect
for Manway, and I think that the plan goes with it. Goes into that. But I think that he has a good relationship with Aule. They've been working together since the dawn of time. So he stays with them. Melkor goes off. How many Ainur are we looking at? Hundreds? Thousands?
Yeah, it can't be thousands just because it seems like too many. There's 12 Valar, of course, and each of them has multiple followers.
Yeah. Well, they all have multiple.
So at the very least.
Well, let me ask you this: how many Valar are there?
Yeah, that question we needed to answer last episode, and I meant to bring it up and forgot to. So thank you. The minimum number of Balrogs is 3, not counting Arryn. So really, the minimum number is 4. This is small.
There has to be enough. The image again, this is an image in my head. So it's an image in my head of them putting down the lamps has like a ring of them around each pillar, burning away and melting the metal pillar.
Well, it's stone and metal.
Right, yes, but it has to be enough of them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like 20 minimum.
How many?
Minimum.
So obviously Tolkien changed his mind throughout his life, right, as to how many Balrogs there were.
Yeah.
In the early Fall of Gondolin, written back before 1920, there are hundreds of Balrogs and thousands of orcs, and that's what attacks Gondolin. So you get like, it's an order of magnitude of 10 Balrogs to orcs. So however many orcs you have 1/10 of that many Balrogs, which is still a heck of a lot. You also kill them like you'd expect. 1 Balrog, 2 Balrog, 3 Balrog. Let's just kill them all. Like, that's what's happening. Yes, exactly.
Which is still crazy.
The later conception, it is, but the early conception doesn't match the later conception. Obviously, it's much harder to kill Balrogs later on. So in the actual Fall of Gondolin, which didn't really get rewritten as much as it could have been, you have Ecthelion kill Gothmog, and you have Glorfindel kill a Balrog, and they both go down with them, and that's the only 2 Balrogs that die in the Fall of Gondolin. So you went from hundreds of Balrogs to 2.
That
die. So there's 2 that die there. There's 1 in Moria.
Yeah.
And there's probably some more. That's why I said 3 is the minimum. you need to have at least 3 because we know that 3 die.
We can possibly come to the conclusion that several die in the war to begin all wars. Or become disembodied enough to the point where they're not Balrogs anymore.
Okay, so we could lose a few there, and then that would make the numbers better later. Because the note that Tolkien made later in life, like way later in life, it was in the margin. He just penciled in number of Balrogs, and it was like 3 to 7. And I know where he got the 3 from. He actually talked about killing 3 in the story, so you needed to have at least 3. But 7 to 9 running around would be pretty much the max of what I would be comfortable with going into the time when elves were alive.
Okay.
Because any more than that, and there's just too many. Arian defecting doesn't count as a Balrog anymore. So she can count as one early, but
can they take
not
out
now?
Like literally take out half of his Balrogs at the during the war to begin all wars, leaving him with 10?
Well, it would add casualties because right now we've got a bunch of immortal beings not killing each other. So, and it would establish that they're tied to their bodies so much
that
whatever happened to them, they can't regenerate like other Valar and Maiar can. So yeah, it would be an important lesson to work in. So at least some of them have to die there.
Yeah.
If you wanted to kill half of them, that's a bit much, but I'll go with it because this is the most cataclysmic war ever. You're allowed to kill more than you would later.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll give you 10 per lamp. To bring
I just don't know how we can take down the lamps with, like, how we could see that visually.
Right. You want to see Balrogs swarming all over the lamp, destroying it.
Yeah.
And you can't swarm if you've got 2. 2 per lamp. Done. Yeah, so no, I agree that we need some, but I can't allow there to be 20 that survive.
Okay. I can get on board with that. So he's
7 to 9 is the number for the ones that survive.
Okay. Yes, because
so if you
let's say that there were 20. Arian defect.
Yeah. Right. So now there's 19.
Leaving 9, including Goblin.
Right. That's okay.
All right. Okay. And then we have a bunch die in the War of Wrath, taking us down to one left, the entire world.
Yes. Well, because we kill Gothmog and another one in Gondolin.
Okay. All right.
So there's 2 that are dead there. So if we had 9, including Gothmog, and we killed 2 during the wars with the elves, we're down to 7, and then we kill 6 in the War of Wrath.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Which, again, that war should be pretty destructive. It should be like, oh gosh, Balrogs are falling like flies now. What happened? And the answer is The Valar showed up. I mean, that's what happened.
So that brings So we're like at some point we're gonna have to figure out how many werewolves does he wind up with, how many vampires. Does he take the spirits of the fallen Balrogs and stuff them into those bodies? I don't
know. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get into too much detail with that, but I agree that if the explanation is supposed to be there that he's using the fallen Maivar, we need to have that many to make it work. Droglin becomes the father of all werewolves, so he can father Karkaroth. We don't need to.
I agree.
Yeah. So from that point of view, I'm like,
So they can.
Don't necessarily. Yeah. Okay. Once they get to that bestial stage, I think they can. Like, same with dragons. I don't know how you make a new dragon. I don't want to know how you make a new dragon.
A couple of dozen people. Certainly no more than that.
There's a couple of dozen what?
So what I'm saying is we can have certainly no more than a couple of dozen people following.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. We need to wrap this up soon. So no. Okay. But I feel like we're right there. Okay. So they follow him. However many people there are, they follow him. The others go to Valinor. We see the construction of Valinor beginning. Maybe see Aule and building up the Pelori. Do we need anything else there?
Well, we need to go to Lorien and bring the sick people like Arian and...
The sick and injured and Arian.
Yeah.
Go to Lorien, we introduce that. We don't need to say anything there, I don't think. We just need to maybe see Lorien in this episode can be like Círdan at the end of Lord of the Rings, where he's just standing there.
There has to at least be a welcome to the Gardens of Lorien, because we need to hear the name Lorien. Okay. And I feel like we should... Well, no, you're right. We don't need much more than that, because we'll see the healed people at the creation of the trees next episode. So
know that they're fine now.
Right. We don't need to instant heal them. That doesn't need to happen. We just bring them there, and then we'll see the results later.
Right, because we'll have seen a lot of the construction that we're seeing now. We're going to see that completed in the following episode.
Right. So we're just setting it up. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So that's enough. Yeah. Then back to the frame, which is where you're going.
To the frame, which we have fortunately established. Pretty much where that's going.
Yep.
Okay. What do you think?
I think that's good. I think that's an episode.
Okay. I need to turn this back on and hope that there's enough power in it. Computer to wake up so I can
Right. Because otherwise it just keeps going.
Hang on.
It keeps recording after you log out, so it does keep recording after you log out. So
yes, we've established that. Oh, okay. All right, everybody. Well, as I hang on the edge of the screen, thank you, everybody who has made it this far. This has been the SilmFilm script discussion, SilmFilm project script discussion for episodes 6 and 7. Next week, we're going to be doing episode 8. And then we're going to try to do episodes 9 and get through half of 10, finishing up 10 and doing 11 after. So we're just doing one episode next week, thankfully.
Yes.
All right. We're good? Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.